What's going on, everybody? My beautiful people, human beings. Good to be in front of the camera again. My name is Marco Liano, and today, what I'm going to be going over are the 3 things that I have learned as a creative empath in this year of 2020, and the wave and the roller coaster of crazy emotion, crazy events that are happening worldwide, and how to really maintain in your groundedness, in your state of flow, in order to create more consistently, create more authentically, and create from a place of love rather than a place of fear and scarcity. So I would highly recommend you like and subscribe, and really tune in and drop in for what I'm about to share with you today, because I think it can help you go from a place of being stuck and being uncertain to a place of being absolutely sure of where you are mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, to be able to show up not only for yourself but for the world. And by showing up for yourself, you show up for the world. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So I have my phone in my hand right now. I have some things that I wrote down, which is a little bit different as what I'm normally used to doing. But I'm going to be trying it out. Eventually, I'll have this whole thing figured out to the point where it's all effortless and flowing. But anyway, one of the biggest things that I have learned in 2020 that has been a huge has been beneficial in my growth and my transformation. It has been to really allow yourself to listen to your intuition, to listen to your gut, to listen to what's coming up for you as to what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is not true. Because the reality is, in our current world atmosphere, in our current world environment, we have an information warfare going on. There is information that is right, information that is wrong, information that is partially right and meant to confuse, information that is totally wrong and meant to dissuade people, and people are taking that for face value. And by observing this, and in my observation is people are very quick to respond and to or to react rather than taking the time to respond to something. And usually this will come up in something that is triggering for people. And I really feel that people's triggers are a reflection as to what gets to be healed for them. And so I'll get to that in the second point, but in point number 1, with everything that's been going on, all this information, it's very important for you as a creative, as somebody that's looking to create magic in this world, to share your truth, to share your message, to share your services that are going to be impacting people in a positive way. It's really for you to step away a little bit, manage your attention that you're paying other people for you to consume. Like, really manage that. And I still have a challenge doing, because there's an overabundance of information that we have present in our day-to-day lives. But really separate yourself from that as much as you can. Like, go on camping trips. Me and my friends have done a couple of these now. We go on camping trips to completely disconnect and to separate from the current day-to-day of quarantine and this whole pandemic, and just get away for a little bit. Allow yourself to be with your thoughts. Allow yourself to be with your emotions that come up. Allowing yourself to be with nature. Like, that has been such a huge factor that has helped with my creativity, and allowed me to really be more grounded in the midst of all this chaos that's going on. And with the intuition being a guidance tool, like, understand that in our current reality, in our current matrix, whatever you want to call it, simulation, I don't know, there's a lot of fear mongering going on. People that are looking to instill fear and to instill lack and to instill scarcity, because that keeps you at a lower energy level, a lower vibration, and you aren't coming from a place of happiness and expressiveness and joy and just absolute living life to the fullest. And whether you believe it or not, but there are certain forces that want to keep people suppressed, because when you're in that lower state, in the lower vibration, you're more easily able to be controlled. And making sure you are aware of that and conscious of it when someone's attempting to instill their fear, instill their uncertainties, instill their scarcity on you, like make sure you have a wall of just make like clear boundary as to what you're willing to allow in and what you're not willing to allow in. Also, having a level of discernment. So one thing that I understand is that I don't know everything. And as a creative, it can be pretty crazy as perfectionist tendencies that some artists may have, or some creatives, or some people that are in business in the creative space, that they want to be perfect. They want to have the perfect image. They want to have the perfect picture. They want to have the perfect video. They want to have the perfect sales letter. They want to have the perfect everything before they take action. I invite you to think of this a little bit differently. Recognize that you don't know everything. That relieves a lot of pressure, surprisingly. When you know that you don't know everything, everything is new and everything is an experience. Everything is a new experience for you to learn from and for you to grow from and for you to expand. It's an opportunity for you to expand and an opportunity for you to get better. And when you come from that frame, creating becomes a lot easier because you don't put any pressure on yourself to create and really don't accept the pressure from other people to create. Like, do what you want to do, create what you want to create, and try things out. I started off just doing videography, and then I got into photography. I started doing free photo shoots for my friends, people that are close to me, and just to get better at photography, because I started with videos. And then photography, somebody asked me, like, hey, do you want to do photography? I'm like, I could press a button, sure. And so I started to take some pictures, and I started to learn about it. I started going to some tutorials and learn how to take pictures, learn how to edit them, learn how to get the right angles. And then eventually I learned some Photoshop and some more about Lightroom and how to edit the photos and how to manipulate the photos in terms of like adding quotes and creating all this cool stuff. And then I got into graphic design, and I was so scared before to get into graphic design, to get into I'm still really learning about it, but there's so much to learn, and I'm constantly growing and improving my skill set, and I'm not afraid to go into space that I'm not sure of, or if I haven't gotten results there yet, because I'm coming from a frame of like, let's see what happens, let's see what I can do, let's see what I can create, and allow the magic to unfold. And the last thing about really listening to your intuition is speaking your truth. Like, this is, I think, something that is currently a big topic of like saying your truth, because really, what is truth? Like, who defines what truth is? And at the end of the day, nobody can define what's true for you except you. So when you really look at things from a perspective of, is this true for me? Is this congruent with me and how I'm showing up and how I'm being? And like, are the facts aligning with... Battery died on me. But as I was saying, battery died on me. But as I was saying, I don't know, I forgot what I was saying. Don't be afraid to speak your truth, now more than ever. And the reason why I'm getting back on YouTube is because I felt it was time that I was ready to start sharing my truth after I've got my own transformation, and I wasn't in a place where I was trying to tell people what to think, what to believe, what their experience should be. Like, I'm now coming from a place of sharing what my experience has been and how I'm experiencing life and how I'm going about things, and hopefully that leads to some inspiration and that leads to some people seeing things in a different perspective, because at the end of the day, what we now are in need of are different perspectives and the openness to at least look at somebody else's perspective and appreciate it. And whether you accept that as true or not, that's up to you. But you have to be able to speak it into being, into existence, into the current reality. Like, super important nowadays, especially as a creative, and especially if you're creating content. Like, I stopped creating for about 5 or 6 months, and I focused on my inner self and my work. And then once I felt like I got a handle on that, then I was able to now make a YouTube video and now express myself and share what I'm actually doing to move the mission forward and helping humanity raise consciousness and really like improve as a species, as beings of light and the spirit. It's done through our current day-to-day and how we interact and how we express ourselves and how we show up and like love on people and don't come from a place of fear and division. It's like, They're really the unification of like recognizing we're all one human species, right? Number two, what I've learned in 2020 as a creative empath is that triggers are an invitation to help heal parts of you that are wanting attention. Because recognize what comes up for you and what you're triggered by. And there's a lot of things that are triggering for a lot of people in today's current health environment, political environment, economic environment. Like there's so many things that are triggering a lot of people. And whereas people want to remove these triggers and shame the triggers and like cancel the triggers because people are being triggered, I think it's an invitation, and this is how I observe things and how I interpret things. You may be interpreting things differently, and that's okay. But the way I interpret things is if something's triggering for me, I ask myself, is it my ego that is responding, or is it my higher self that's responding? Because when it's your ego that's responding to the things that you get triggered by, you will more than likely be responding in a, or reacting in a very emotional way. Whether it's anger, whether it's like very like visceral reaction, whether it's you're like numbing and you don't totally no reaction at all. How you respond to something is really a reflection of how you are internally and whether you're at peace with yourself, or if something is triggering you so bad that you're feeling like you need to express that to somebody else and make them feel the same way. There tends to be something within you that gets to be resolved, that gets to be healed, that gets to be at peace. And so you don't react to that, because whatever you react to, whatever you're triggered by, it owns you. And how you free yourself is when you recognize that I don't need to react to everything. I get to say, that's interesting, this is coming up for me. Okay, do I need to process this emotion? Do I need, like, if you need to cry, if you need to let it out, like, do that. I've had my moments where I just had to let it out. You know, if you're feeling a lot of anxious energy, like you feel really triggered, like go for a walk, do some exercise, do something to get that energy flowing. You know, if you're feeling super sad, like allow yourself to feel sad. Like that's an emotion that's necessary, and a lot of people don't understand this, are afraid to feel this. But like when something sad happens, don't just suppress it, like feel it. Once you feel it, you allow it to pass through you and you release it. And so the healthiest thing you can do when an emotion comes up is recognize, is this emotion serving me? Or is this belief in this story serving me? Or will it serve me if to let it go? And I found by doing that, that has improved not only my creativity, and it has improved my focus and my flow. It has improved the way I show up, the idea of how I operate, my standards that I have for myself, and things aren't triggering for me anymore. While things may be coming up, I don't have a visceral reaction or have a crazy reaction where like, oh, that totally like, you know? It's how you respond to things. If something upsets you, hold on, my mustache is stuck. Something upsets you, see why it's upsetting you. Is it something that is affecting you directly, or is it just making you uncomfortable? And while a lot of people can have a lot of opinions on that, that's how I see it. Triggers are an opportunity for you to heal things, heal emotions that are unresolved, feel things that want attention that you have been avoiding. And when you do this, you will elevate your creativity game to a whole nother level. And even this doesn't have to be huge emotions either. It can even be how you feel around doing simple things, like doing your chores, right? Doing the dishes, doing your bed, waking up at a certain time, going to sleep at a certain time. Those are all potential triggers. Like for me, going to sleep, as when I was growing up, I usually like revolted around going to sleep at a certain time, and I was always a night owl. Now that I'm an adult and I don't have anybody else tell me to do or tell me what to do, I tend to go to sleep later. I know I should be going to sleep earlier and have a better sleep, like that's directly in my control. Every time that the thought had come up of like, oh, I gotta go to sleep, like now I'm seeing it as like, well, as you can see, it's about 11 o'clock, so I really do get to go to sleep here. But I wanted to make sure I filmed this video. I'm a little bit behind on it, but I wanted to commit to it. When the Emotion around the things that you don't want to do, the things that you least want to do, even the triggers of those tasks, those actions, when those things come up, feel it. Like, recognize, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I really don't want to do the dishes, but I'm going to do them anyway. I really don't want to spend time in knocking out what I need to knock out. I'm going to do it anyway. When you're able to work through your triggers, you now are in control and you become the creative director of your life. And that's what I've learned for number 2. And for number 3, this one has been, I think, by far the biggest help for me when it comes to navigating the waves of emotion. And it's quite literally what I call navigating or surfing the waves of transformation. And I mean quite literally in the physical way. So over the last 5-6 months, I've really been more consistent with surfing. Living here in San Diego, California, so I have the opportunity every weekend to go surfing, and I have absolutely loved it, and I'm getting better at it, which is so freaking exciting for me. It's because I'm doing something for myself. I'm doing something for my soul, what makes me happy, and it's also challenging me in a way. But I want to talk about a few stages of how a wave, like when you, for people who haven't surfed or are not in San Diego or don't know anything about like surfing, let me give you an idea. When you go out to surf, you have your surfboard, you have your wetsuit, and you're going out to the water, right? And once you start walking in, right, you get to your feet get covered, and then your knees get covered, and then at some point your waist, and there's some point where you are floating. You are no longer your feet are no longer on the floor, and you get to go on your board. So at this point, it's just you and your board and you're paddling. Pretty easy, nothing crazy. You hit the first level, which is called the whitewash, right? It's after the wave crashes and then the water comes towards the shore. The whitewash, not very powerful, right? Has some momentum. It may push you back a little bit, but if you push up on your board, you're able to get through it. You paddle, you paddle, you paddle. The level 2, or the second like wave that comes in, right? That's the medium-sized wave. It starts to curl a little bit, and you start to see it come towards you. And at that point, okay, you recognize either you're gonna go over the wave, under the wave, or through the wave, or if you don't do anything, you're gonna get absolutely blasted. So you have an option, and you have a decision to make. And I've learned that there's a certain way to handle those waves, and usually it's paddle forward towards it, meet it with enough velocity to be able to go over it, or sometimes you flip over. The third level is when you have the actual set, the actual waves, and depending on the days that you go at, it could be really big or it could not be really big. But when the set comes in and you have no option, you cannot run from this wave. You have a few options that you must decide on, or else you're going to get washed away and pummeled, and you're going to be under the water, struggling to breathe, and you're going to be flipped all over the place. When you're facing these big waves, you have to make a decision and commit to it. So when you see a big wave coming in and it's crashing, you either paddle towards it and you flip over and hope for the best. You dive into it so the wave goes over you. If you're lucky and you catch the top of a wave, you go above the wave. But the worst thing you can do is just stand or sit on your board and just look at it and wait till it crashes towards you. And so these are the different stages of emotions that come towards you as well. There's some emotions that come to you very lightly, right? Nothing too crazy, just little things that come up. Then you have things that are a little more pressing, little more calling for your attention, right? You're like, oh, I got another late payment on my card, or oh man, like this happened, like I dropped the ball on this project, I dropped the ball on this client, like I really got to fix that moving forward. That's kind of like the medium size wave. And then the big one is like oh man, like a relationship didn't work out, or like I lost a client that I should have had, or my family is going through this, and now and then these bigger emotions that tend to lead to a more emotional response. Now when we experience this, most people just decide to just not do anything about it and just ignore it. That's like going in front of the big wave and just standing there and just saying, come and get me, baby. It's going to come and it's going to hit you, and it's going to hit you hard. And the more that you're doing that, the more tired you're going to be. the harder it's going to be when you realize that these waves, you can dictate how you respond to it. And it's tiring. It can get tiring to paddle out, but when you're committed to going to a wave, and the moment you catch the wave, I'll tell you this right now, the moment you actually catch a wave, it is so exhilarating. You're just glowing, you're just going over the top of the wave, and then you drop in, and you just rubbing your hand to the side of the wave, and you're just riding through it, and all the energy that it took to do that is worth it. It is absolutely worth it. And recognize that these waves that are coming, these emotions that are coming, are opportunities for you to ride through and come out of the other side a better human being, a more developed human being emotionally, and a more developed, really, emotional intelligence, emotional IQ on how to process your own stuff and not suppress it and not lower it down. Because as a creative, sometimes we can use that things that we've been stuffed down as our creative expression, but it leads to suffering in other parts of our life. Like this is the stage that I'm getting out of, but it's like the starving artist, that someone feels like they need to give out their art, that it needs to be super cheap, super priceless, or super like affordable for everyone, and you sacrifice everything that you have to do that. And there comes a point where you're just like, this is not fulfilling me. This is feeling like a chore. This is not where I want to be coming from. And you got to make a difference. You get to make a change. And so surfing the wave of transformation, I feel, is like one of the most important skill sets that you can have, is recognize when you're having a pivotal moment in your life and write it, right? If it feels like it's risky, okay, good. Recognize, are you going to be able to make it out alive? If so, like, do it, go for it. If you're going to be risking your life a little bit more and aren't sure with the risk to the reward, like, make calculated decisions. But if it's a no-brainer risk that you know is going to be beneficial, and the only thing that's stopping you is you're afraid of doing it, I invite you to take the action that you know you need to do and make that first step. For example, me making this YouTube video. I haven't done my YouTube channel for a very long time because I was afraid to actually get in front of the camera again and start speaking my truths, expressing myself, and expressing my journey. But now that I'm doing it, it's really not that bad. I get to do it in a more consistent basis, and I can get to just flow. Like this video, maybe like 20 to 30 minutes, I don't know, of me just flowing off of a few points that I have. So that pretty much covers the 3 things that I've learned in 2020 as a creative empath. And I hope this resonated with you in some way, shape, or form. I felt like it was on my heart, and these are the lessons that I've learned. And really what I want to implore for everyone here who's watching is, don't stop creating during this time. Don't stop sharing your talents, your passions. Don't stop sharing like your voice. Don't stop sharing your truth. The world needs more of that now, more than ever at any period of time. What we're going to be experiencing in the next 4 or 5 months, 6 months, is going to be even bigger waves of emotions that are going to be coming, and have the openness to recognize you don't know everything. Have the intuition to be able to recognize what is true for you, and have the humbleness to be able to say I was wrong if that's the case. And if you're right, have the humbleness to not brag about it and to just accept it for what it is. So that's my video back. I know this may have been a little bit of a tangent, but this is what I've been sharing on my heart. I'm going to be sharing more content around really content creation as a whole, when it comes to Instagram, getting your Instagram on point, having different types of Instagram content. I'm going to be building this YouTube channel, so there's going to be another experiment for myself. And yeah, so I'm going to be making a lot more videos, and we'll see what happens here. But I'm super excited and super grateful to be sharing this with you. Leave a comment down below, leave a like, share this video if you found this valuable and you feel like somebody else will find value in it as well. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to sharing more value. I look forward to helping you create more and speak your authenticity and express yourself. So my name is Marco Liano. I will catch you guys on the next video, and peace out.